In case you missed it, Mauricio Umansky and his sister have spent the last year in court fighting for their father, Eduardo Umansky. He's had a longtime girlfriend named Simon Tabibnia, and they took her to court claiming that she was abusive and trying to take money out of their father's pockets. Allegedly, she also physically attacked Mao's sister. Long story short, Mauricio and Sharon Umansky were able to obtain a conservatorship over their father. There's a lingering restraining order against Simon. What's interesting, however, was Mao's testimony in the case. Eduardo and Simon both worked for the agency, so the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills husband was required to disclose a wealth of juicy details about the inner workings of his real estate company, as well as the tough financial years the business experienced in recent years. Mauricio Umansky explains Dad's investment into the agency. Briefing on Bravo obtained a transcript of Mauricio's testimony from a hearing on May 5. As the CEO of the agency and Eduardo's son, he had a crucial perspective to add to the case. According to Sharon's lawyers, Simon received around $278,000 from Eduardo between 2023 and 2024. Simon said that money came from commissions on houses that she helped Eduardo sell. However, Mao went under oath and confirmed that his father's commissions were $35,000 in 2023 and $39,823.69 in 2024. The Umanskys argued that the stark difference between Eduardo's income compared to what Simon received is a strong indicator of financial abuse. Diving further into Eduardo's finances, Mao explained that his father owns 4% of the agency. Still, that partial ownership didn't result in any massive paydays over the last few years. While testifying, Mauricio said that the agency hadn't paid out any recent dividends to its owners because of several years of financial struggles. Eduardo made an investment in the agency at the beginning. The last 3 years, the real estate brokerage has been under the lowest at the tremendous housing recession, Mauricio explained. The last 3 years, we've had the lowest amount of transactions in the markets ever since the early 1990s, since the recession of the early 1990s. And so, 2022-2023, the agency lost a significant amount of money. Mauricio noted that in 2024, they were able to right-size the business, but they're still not distributing dividends. He said he was unaware of any other income streams for his dad, which is why they want to make sure Simon can't hemorrhage everything he has. The Umanskys are still waiting on a final decision from the judge. In the meantime, Simon is trying to get a restraining order of her own. It's still a huge mess. Blood and Brick, the house that love tried to break. Foundations of Trust. In the shimmering city of Los Angeles, where wealth glistens as brightly as the ocean sun, even the most pristine facades can conceal cracks beneath. For Mauricio Umansky, the CEO of the once glorious real estate empire, the agency, life had become an exhausting act of juggling luxury and legacy. But nothing could have prepared him for what the last year would bring. It started not with a lawsuit, but with a phone call, his sister Sharon's voice shaking as she whispered over speakerphone, "Mao, Simon hit me." Mauricio froze, halfway through sipping his espresso at the agency's headquarters in Beverly Hills. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, palm trees swayed over glinting Lamborghinis. But inside his chest, an unfamiliar storm gathered. "She shoved me," Sharon said again, "because I asked her about Dad's account. There's money missing." From that moment, it was war, not just of words or wealth, but of loyalty, legality, and love. The girlfriend. Simon Tabibnia had been Eduardo Umansky's partner for nearly a decade. She was glamorous, charismatic, and shrewd, a woman who could sell a multi-million-dollar mansion before a client finished their morning matcha. But she was also a woman Mauricio never trusted. "She always found ways to get between us," Sharon said, fuming. "One minute she's Dad's rock, the next she's siphoning thousands from his account." The problem was, Eduardo didn't see it that way. At 78, he was still sharp in mind, mostly. But there were gaps now. He would forget dates, repeat stories, misplace checks. And Simon always had a reason, an explanation, a carefully crafted defense. "She's helping me," Eduardo would insist. "She's just misunderstood." But when Sharon confronted her after a series of wire transfers to a personal account in Simmons' name, over $278,000 worth, Simmons' mask cracked. The altercation that followed wasn't caught on camera, but Sharon had bruises, and the police report was filed. That's when the Umansky siblings knew they had to take legal action, for their father's sake and for their own sanity. Conservatorship. The courtroom was cold, not just from air conditioning, but from the chill of family betrayal. Mauricio and Sharon filed for a conservatorship, claiming Eduardo was no longer able to manage his financial affairs. Their legal team, led by Beverly Hills powerhouse litigator Dalia Mendoza, made a compelling case that Simon was financially and emotionally abusive. "I never touched her," Simon shouted during one of the hearings, her voice trembling. "They're trying to erase me from his life because I'm not blood." But the bank statements didn't lie. Under oath, Mauricio laid it bare. "In 2023, my father earned $35,000 in commissions. In 2024, $39,823.69. That's it." Simon, however, received over $278,000 in that same period. How? The agency was struggling badly. No dividends had been paid in years. Mauricio had even floated the business with personal loans to keep it afloat during the housing market collapse. Eduardo still owned 4% of the company, but those shares were worth far less than they once were. "He invested early on," Mauricio explained, "but the agency has suffered through the worst downturn since the early 90s. No owner, including me, has seen a meaningful payout." The math didn't add up, and the judge noticed. Broken glass. At the center of this legal cyclone was Eduardo himself, caught in the crossfire. "I love them both," he told the judge with a weary smile. "Simon has cared for me, my children, my heart. They are only trying to protect me. But I'm not a child." Yet his memory lapses during testimony painted a different picture. He forgot the name of the accountant who managed his estate. He confused the amount of his last commission check. And when asked about the wire transfers to Simmons' account, he hesitated. I don't remember. I must have authorized it. She helped with the bills." The judge took notes in silence. In a private chamber meeting afterward, Sharon broke down for the first time in months. "He's not the same, Mal. You see it too. He's slipping." Mauricio nodded. For all the deals, the drama, the fame from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, this was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Ripping his father from a woman he might still love, just to save what little dignity he had left. Inside the agency, when the legal team asked Mauricio to disclose the agency's internal finances, it was like opening Pandora's box. "They'll leak it to the press," he told Delia. "We can seal the records," she assured him. But of course, nothing in Beverly Hills stays sealed for long. Mauricio testified that the agency had been operating at a loss since 2022. Once a star-studded firm selling mega mansions to the rich and famous, the company was now downsizing, right-sizing, as Mauricio euphemistically put it. Luxury real estate had flatlined post-pandemic, interest rates were up, and deals had dried up like desert rain. "I've taken no salary for 6 months," Mauricio admitted under oath. "We've had to lay off 17% of staff. There is no secret pile of money from which Simon could have drawn. If she's claiming commissions, they weren't processed through the agency." This testimony crushed Simmons' argument. Her own claim was that she helped Eduardo close multiple deals and therefore deserved the funds. But the agency's internal transaction logs showed otherwise. In several instances, she had never even signed off on contracts. She was shadow brokering, Mauricio said bluntly. It's unauthorized. She used Dad's logins, his access, to push through closings and pay herself. The courtroom buzzed. This wasn't just a conservatorship hearing anymore. It was veering toward criminal fraud. Restraining orders. On a gray Thursday morning, the judge issued a tentative ruling. Mauricio and Sharon were granted conservatorship. A temporary restraining order against Simon remained in place. Simon erupted. Her attorney slammed a fist on the bench, and yet her request for a reciprocal restraining order was denied, for now. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed like bees on celebrity nectar. Mr. Umansky, did Simon steal from your father? Are you and Kyle still together? Did the Real Housewives producers know about this? Mauricio shielded his face and muttered a practice line. No comment. Please respect our privacy. But inside, the damage was done. The court had sided with him, but the cost was enormous. The family meeting. Back at the family home in Bel Air, the atmosphere was tense. Eduardo sat silently, flipping through a photo album. Sharon poured herself a drink. He hasn't spoken to me since the hearing, she whispered. Mauricio sighed. He thinks we betrayed him. Sharon scoffed. We saved him. Doesn't matter, Mauricio said. Not to him. Eduardo finally looked up. She loved me, you know, Simon. Maybe she took too much. Maybe she crossed lines, but she loved me when I was still someone.